If a lack of money and a lack of time is the thing holding you back from investing in real estate, this is a conversation you do not want to miss. Now, today's guest is Fuzzy Jardine, and Fuzzy came from a tough background where he had to overcome a lot of hardships, but ultimately figured out that a lack of money was not going to be the deciding factor of where he ended up. He made some choice decisions, ended up getting together some capital, and ultimately learned how to put together deals and leveraging what he did bring to the table. If you're looking to tap into other people's money or other people's time to help you grow and scale your real estate portfolio, check out this conversation right here on Multifamily Insights. When you think you found a great deal, asking the right questions could be the difference in finding a stud or a dud. Listen, we've put together a new guide to help you out. It's called 7 Questions You Must Ask Before Investing in Apartments. Now, in this guide, you're going to learn how to uncover red flags, quickly identify underwriting risk, vet sponsors and team members, and confirm key assumptions. Now, this is a guide that's going to help you be a better investor, whether you're an active investor or you're a passive investor looking to partner with other operators. Asking better questions is the key to identifying great opportunities. So download this free guide. Go to our website, casmoncapital.com/7questions. That's the number 7 questions. And you can access this free guide today. To make it easy on you, though, we've put a link in our show notes. So you go to our show notes, you can click that link and access the guide right now. This guide's going to help you make better investment choices, asking the right questions to build your portfolio. So be sure to download it today. Kolaiah Fuzzy Jardine is a real estate developer and co-founder of Hui Mastermind, whose personal journey took him from federal prison to building a multi-million-dollar property empire. Now, his expertise is rooted in his mission to empower Native Hawaiians and locals to build generational wealth, providing them with the tools and strategies to afford to stay in their homeland. Let's welcome to the show, Fuzzy Jardine.
Hey, hello, John. How you doing, man? Mahalo for having me on. And what you decide to do with your day today will determine your tomorrow. So I appreciate you having me on the show to be able to help your viewers and then show how it's possible.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, Fuzzy, it's great to talk to you, man. I went over your bio at a very high level. One thing I didn't mention is you are the author of a book that sounds very intriguing, right? It's Priced Out of Paradise. So tell us a little bit more. We're going to get into the book, but tell us a little bit more about your background overall and just tell us a little bit about what led you to writing the book.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. I'm a local boy from Hawaii. I'm born and raised with a single mom out here on Oahu in the little town called Waimanalo. And humble beginnings. We really never had the silver spoon, but we my grandparents. I grew up with my grandparents, and it was all like in Hawaii. It's definitely multi-generational. So there's more than one family living in the home because it's so expensive, right? But then there's also a lot of extracurricular activity happening because Hawaii is such a beautiful place. Everybody wants to party. So there comes the drug life and then alcoholism and all that stuff. And that's, I think, made me want to follow that crowd, which was family and friends, and it ended up in, place called BOP, the prison, federal prison for conspiracy to sell drugs. And that gave me the time to think about my life, right? And it gave me the time to be able to think like, okay, am I going to keep going down this path or go down the straight path and, own my own empire, own my own business and own my own home. And, that was the path that I chose. And while I was in there was some pretty smart and intelligent people, believe it or not, like the white collar crime guys that, didn't pay their taxes. They got caught up for tax evasion. But this one gentleman, his name was called Joel. And in there, we had some education classes. And he was teaching about 101, real estate 101. And he was the one that kind of got my mind churning, and thinking about how you can invest in real estate and house hack. You buy the house, you fix it up, live in it for 2 years, and then when you sell it, you don't have to pay taxes on the profits. If you're single, 250,000, or if you're married, 500,000. And that was like, holy crap! When I get out of this place, that's exactly what I want to do. But when you come out of prison, you have an X on your back, and a lot of people don't want to hire you. So I had an issue trying to find jobs, right? Because people slammed the door. I went to try to get a position as a car salesman at all the top dealers here in Honolulu, but all of them said because I had a record, we can't hire you, brother. I'm like, bro, I can sell a shirt off my back, you know. But it was okay. But it was a blessing that one of my friends had a window cleaning company, and that started my journey as far as coming back out from prison to start going down the straight path. I got a job. Then my second job, you would like, is a surfing instructor in Waikiki, teaching people from all over the world how to surf right here in Waikiki with Diamond Head in the background, taking pictures with them. And then my third job was a valet driver. And those three jobs is a common story here in Hawaii because it's so expensive. And that's why I wrote that book, Priced Out of Paradise, because it's super expensive. The wages don't match your living expenses, right? So we get taxed for everything, food, because everything gets shipped to Hawaii. And in the book, I just talk about a lot of stuff on how locals are getting priced out, and it doesn't only have to pertain to Hawaii. It's everywhere in the United States. Every every area in the United States, you should just start noticing there's a lot more people investing in real estate and build knocking down old homes and then building new ones, and it's creating higher taxes and stuff like that. So that's kind of what my book is all about, writing on how a local boy from Hawaii, coming from humble beginnings, coming out of prison with $0 in his pocket, to create a multi-million-dollar portfolio to create generational wealth for his ohana, which is family, to leave a legacy when I'm no longer here.
Fuzzy, man, I love your story, man. You talked about a few things, right? One, just growing up, multi-generational household with your grandmother, your family there. But get into life, I mean, everybody's having a great time, partying, drugs,
Uh,
drinking. You got caught up in that and got arrested for distribution of drugs and did your time while you're in prison, learned from a guy named Joel about real estate investing and said, all right, when I get out, that's what I'm going to do, right? You
yeah.
get out, you can't get a job, finally get a job as a window washer, then a surf instructor, then in as a valet parker, and really locked in on, tapping into real estate to help grow and scale and build your own personal portfolio. And that notion of being priced out, I think it's one we're obviously talking about your background in Hawaii. I can't say it the really cool way like you do it. Hawaii. How do you say it
Oh,
again?
it's got a W in it, Hawaii, or a
Hawaii.
V,
The V,
Hawaii.
yeah, Hawaii. Um, but it's something that many Americans are dealing with, right? We talk about inflation and the rising cost of goods. And the reality is, with interest rates so high, many people are getting priced out of home ownership, priced out of their lifestyle. And it's starting to create an environment where we are a nation of renters and people cannot afford to buy their own personal residence. And if you don't have a clear path or a clear plan,
Mhm.
you could very easily get wiped up into this. Even folks who work white collar jobs and make pretty good money are living paycheck to paycheck. So talk to me about how you escaped being priced out to create a multi-million-dollar portfolio. So we kind of talked about the jobs, but where does real estate come into the picture as far as starting to make that first investment?
Yeah, so like I was saying earlier about Hawaii, you see, everyone has to work two jobs to survive here, right? Your mom and pop. I see my mom have like three or four jobs, so I was just following that same footprint, which doesn't work here. You can work harder and harder or work more jobs, and you can still be stuck. It just depending on um, how you deal with your finances, right? Instead of buying lifted Tacomas with nice rims, fat gold chains, like a lot of us locals are buying things that you don't need and using that money to invest or use that money to educate yourself financially. Here, it's this right here that messes a lot of us up, is the mindset. And then your why. Being clear on your why is the most important thing. Wherever you're at today, the reason why you're in the situation you're in is because of people that you're hanging around with, the education that was passed down to you. It could have been from your parents, but that's all they knew, right? And they're passing down, and I call it a curse because it just keeps going and going in the same circle and never I call it in the book the crab in a bucket effect, where one person tries to get out, the other family members or friends try to pull them back because they're only in the bucket level. They're not outside the bucket thinking level. And when an entrepreneur or someone reaches out to become, a successful business owner or whatever it is they want to be, the other ones in the bucket don't want them to do that because they're going to think that you're high maka maka or better than them. And then now that once you get out, but you think, man, once you set your mindset and hang around people that you want to be like, they're gonna be positive people to pull you out of that bucket, right? And then you can become the next person to, hey, I see this guy or girl is just like me when I first started. I can help you, right? But that person got to be ready here mentally in their mindset to be able to take action for what they want in life.
Fuzzy, you talked about, the guy Joel, who
Hmm.
taught you about real estate while you were in prison and kind of opened up your eyes to the opportunities. Many people fall into the environment you mentioned, right? Where you know what you know. I mean, you're exposed to what you're exposed to.
Yep.
So obviously you were in a situation where you had the time to think about it and to process a lot of information. But getting out, I mean, a lot of people when they get out, they kind of fall back into old habits. How did
Yeah.
you navigate that to kind of stay focused on your goals?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When I came out, you let a dog loose after being tied up for so long. It's like, yeah, I'm out. Right? I mean, I started slipping back, and then I got into a little bit more trouble. But then what happened was that trouble woke me up. Right? I got into an accident. I got hurt, and that changed me like indefinitely. Um, and it is a fact that when someone goes to prison or the people that they hang around with in that lifestyle, 80 or 90% will go back. It's a recidivism of that high percentage. And what happened was I was like, okay, the second round, I was like, bro, you better wake the hell up because that's not what I wanted, John. And nobody wants to be in there, right? And the choices I made got me there. The people I hung around with got me there. And so I was I was I was in there. When I was in there wanting to come out, I started educating myself by reading books like Robert Kiyosaki, um, Rich Dad Poor Dad, a great book that helped me open my mindset about being a business owner. And I knew that real estate was a vehicle that most people create wealth. And I knew when I got home, I wanted to do something like that or own my own home and become like yourself. You guys do rentals, right? Multifamily rentals. And that was something I always knew I wanted. And it was here that was holding me back. Like, I don't have the money, right? Like, Hawaii is so expensive. How can I find, $1 million? Because that's what our average home or median home prices are, $1 million for busted up whole house, dude, and you still need to fix it up. So, you know, it's so crazy that um uh, and myself too, and you see a lot of people like to blame other people, make excuses, and procrastinate, right, on what they want in life. And where does that keep them? Exactly where they're at today. Stuck in the same thing, waking up to go work for someone else, drive in traffic or go to the subway, wherever you're from, to go to work for someone else's dream and not for themselves. It's okay if you love your job or you love your career, but always do something after that, those 8 hours. There's so many more hours that you have. We all have 24 hours to do something for yourself to be able to obtain home ownership or become a landlord or do whatever, go travel with your family. And I was able to obtain that, and many people that I surround myself with like yourself has obtained it. Yes, I'm in a expensive state here in Hawaii, super expensive to live. But how is others coming not from Hawaii, coming to Hawaii or Hawaii and investing here? Well, two things. They're using other people's money and then other people's time to do the work for them. And why not people from Hawaii, locals, Hawaiians, or other people that want to invest upon Hawaii do the same? It's this, bro. Is this what's stopping us? It's
Yeah,
your
man, you
mind,
just
your
got into
mindset.
some great stuff there, Fuzzy. Talk about mindset and just shift and coming out of prison, you fell back into some old habits, but then you had an accident, and when that accident really opened your door, and your mindset shifted and really never went back. And reading books from
Yeah,
Robert Kiyosaki and others, that kind of let you know, hey, this is possible. But the biggest issue is the mindset still, because you're in this expensive state, right? A state that
yeah,
everybody wants to travel to and be at, and everything's very expensive, and the home prices for a property that needs a lot of renovation work is still $1 million. So
yeah.
you didn't have that money. How can you get in and how can you do it? Well, it relied on two things, right? Other people's money and other people's time. Let's
Mhm.
drill in and talk about how you were able to tap into that, because going back to mindset, whether it's you in Hawaii or anybody looking to invest, these are the same issues every investor has. It's either money or
Yes.
time, right? Like
Yeah.
you want to go and buy 100 unit building, a 10 unit building, your first property. Many people don't have the money to do that, and that's the biggest barrier you have. Or they just don't have the time, right? They got a day job, I got kids, I got other obligations. And man, I just don't have the time to go out there and do all the things necessary to build a real estate portfolio. When you were faced with that challenge and realized other people's money and other people's time was the solution, how did you bring that together and go out and execute?
Yeah, so I didn't just all of a sudden happen to become a real estate developer or real estate investor. It took me wanting to learn, right? So I had to educate myself. Um, Having those three jobs took away my time. Like you said, most people got to work two, three jobs to survive here in Hawaii. And if the excuse was, I don't have time. Or in Hawaii, I said, no, I no more time. Or people say that, right? And it's just an excuse. You still have time after you go work your job to go educate yourself by reading books, or better yet, they have these things that you can put on your head and listen to them while you're driving to and from work to educate yourself on whatever strategy that's out there to help you obtain what you want to own a home or whatever it is, right? So education was a big part. Having those three jobs um, was a dead end because there was a ceiling of what I could get paid, and I only get 24 hours in one day, right? So was that useful of my time working for somebody else? Yes, for the meantime, but I knew that there was something out there. But in Hawaii, there's not too much people of abundance mindset to teach about real estate, and there was a struggle when I came out to find something or find someone who was willing to teach me about how to invest in real estate. So what happened was I was thinking, okay, look, I'm looking at all my friends. One of them was a pilot. I was like, bro, I know they make like 250K a year, or they make good money. I said, you know what? I went to him. I said, how do I become a pilot? He said, okay, well, go to this school and then go, get your first flight and go see if you like it. So I did, and I was like, bro, I was sold on it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go be a pilot. And what happened was, um, I went to the bank because it cost like I think it was like 20 grand or something for the education to become a pilot. So when I went to the bank, they had this loan for natives, locals that are born and raised and have Hawaiian blood. I have it's called the Oha Malama loan, right? And it was a $20,000 loan at 4%. And I was gonna be a pilot, bro. I was like, yes, I'm gonna be a pilot. So I got the loan, and I got out the bank and I was driving, and all of a sudden on the radio, no joke, timing, I don't know, saying, hey, we're from HGTV. My name is Dan Murrow, and blah, blah, blah. And we're coming to your town. We're looking for a few people to be part of our team. We find fixer uppers, we fix them up, and we flip them. and use other people's money, right? Other people's money and do it right there in the back in your backyard. And we're looking for people to be part of our team. Come to our free event. And I was like, bro, this is the one. So I went. So it's a company called Fortune Builders that I went to the event. The guy was speaking about, we find these properties, we fix them up, and blah blah blah. And I was like, bro, this is me. I have all I come from construction background. I come from, you know, the blue collar workers all my life, right? I have the team for the construction, so I knew at that moment I needed to go to that next event. It was $197 for 3 days, and they was gonna break down everything for me, right? When I showed up, there was people from all over the islands, from Maui, Kauai, and the Big Island at this event in Waikiki. Big stage, surfer guy, Rye guy on the stage, surfer guy now, multi-millionaire, true real estate. And I was like, sold. I was like, bro, that's me, local boy from Hawaii. I gotta be that guy for locals here in Hawaii to be able to teach that it's possible to invest in real estate. And bro, the best that was one of the best things that ever the decision I made, or the leap of faith. I didn't have the money. I borrowed it, right? It was $26,000 to be part of their education program or part of their team. I knew they was going to sell me something, but I didn't know it was going to be that expensive. And I did not have that money, right? Personally. But it was a blessing that I borrowed that 20K, and then I had like a $6,000 credit card to pay for the education. And from there, all the coaches, the mindset changed just like that. And I went from where I was at to become a successful real estate developer through the strategies they taught me to put out there. So crazy. And I ended up meeting a developer that was a local guy from Big Island, and followed his footsteps and became a local real estate developer, building affordable homes for local families or families here in Hawaii, bro. And I've been selling my homes for like 350K, brand new home, right? And doing prices that's similar to some areas in the States.
Fuzzy, man, I love hearing you say that for a number of reasons. One, you clearly had the same bug hit you that hit me, man. I had started investing in real estate. I had built up a smaller portfolio, but had done some deals and was trying to figure out how to scale. Man, those fortune builder guys must have had a huge radio budget, man, because they called me with the radio show as well. And I was driving down and was trying to figure something out. Heard the same radio ad. Went to the free seminar at some small hotel and lobby or whatever, right? And
Yep.
took
Yep.
that. The next was a 3-day course. I did that as well. Unlike you, I realized on the second day it wasn't the right fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
However, and this is the thing I will tell people, it was still very critical. As a matter of fact, when I do presentations and teaching people, I normally mention this in my story because it was pivotal for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because in that moment, I had already made an investment in this 3-day thing. And the third day, I decided to go and really lock down on my resources. And I spent that day just studying. And from that, I ended up getting more active on Bigger Pockets, and I ended up meeting the man who became my mentor, Joe Fairless, and ended up starting into larger multifamily apartment buildings and syndications, and growing from there. And it really stems from taking action. And that's the thing I want everybody to take away from this. You had a completely different plan. You got that money from the bank to go be a pilot. And you were excited. You had took your test flight. You were like, yep, this is great. I'm gonna be flying planes. You go get the bank. I don't know how it looks like, by the way. You go into the bank, you tell them, hey, I want to be a pilot. They're like, sure, here's some money to go be a pilot. You're like, oh, heard a radio ad. Never mind, I'm going to do this, right? But you took the loan out, you switched and pivot gears. And it was expensive. It was probably very scary and nerve wracking to take all that money and invest into an education program that you hoped would work, right? There's no guarantees. You hoped it would work. And you found success. And there's two things, right? Because when people hear of some of the promotional educational companies, you know, there's an S word, a dirty S word, 4-letter word that people like to throw out there. And what I would push people to understand is there's a difference between price and value.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Focus on the value. And for every one of us, value is different. And some people need to be pushed off to take the leap of faith, to take the, I don't even want to call it risk, but it's to take the action necessary to drive success in their life. And you talked about it earlier, right? Some people like to blame or make excuses
Hmm.
or procrastinate, and they wind up stuck in the same spot versus taking action. And when you take action, good things happen, right? You're going to
Yeah.
learn, you're going to get feedback. Even if that deal doesn't go as great as you thought, or even if that mentorship or coaching program wasn't as helpful as you thought, you are already further ahead than you were. You are
Yeah.
much further along your path and your progress than you were when you started the journey. And that is the thing that is so key because as investors, especially when you don't have stuff and you don't come from money, every investment feels huge. When it's not the scarcity mindset, it's like the scarcity bank account. When you look like, no, bro, I'm broke. I can see it right here.
Right.
Like it costs me money to take out money out of the bank, right? When you're that broke, it's really, really hard to just say, oh, it's mindset, right? And I don't want to come across like we're being really fluffy here talking about
Right.
mindset because it's real. I mean, when you don't have money, you don't have money. Like step
Right.
one is you got to figure out how to get more money in your bank account. But what we're getting at is you just see problems differently.
Yep.
And that's something that you just have to do the work and you have to be around the right people to truly understand. I can't even put it into words, but when you are around the right people,
Yep.
the things that you see as problems, as challenges, are just another step in the process. And when you have folks who have been there, now and you go back to your crab in a barrel mentality, right? Well,
Yeah.
those crabs, and I don't study crabs. My thought though is that they're fearful of what's on the outside of the bucket. So they're trying to protect you. They're like, hey, you don't want to go up there. Come down here, right?
Yeah.
Versus, and because they just don't know. And that's what our friends and family, a lot of them don't know. So they're going to tell you what they know. Oh, I know somebody who, I remember when I was going to go to college and
Yep.
um, I didn't get much guidance or feedback or anything like that. But one thing that someone did say to me was they told me about another family member who went to college for 1 quarter and came back home and just basically wasted money and essentially told me I was probably going to do the same.
Yeah.
And at first, I thought it was very malicious and just, I was like, wow, what a hater. But as I've matured and grown, I've just realized they only know what they know. That's
Right.
what they've seen. They've seen that if one person went off to school and failed miserably, it's not for us.
Yeah.
People like me, it's not for us. And it's hard to break that mentality. And
Yes.
I commend you for taking massive action and going out there and investing in your education. But I also want our listeners to not fall into this trap of thinking everything is a scam. No, you got to invest in your education. You have
Hmm.
to push yourself towards your goals and you have to figure out what it takes to find success, but you've got to move forward. And if you're not willing to make that investment, you are basically agreeing to stay stuck wherever you're at. And that's something that's on an individual. You and I we went to a very similar Fortune Builders event. We
Yep.
had very different actions coming out of that event, but both made progress. And I credit attending that event for helping me to make the progress because the biggest thing for me was I got a mirror put up to my face of what I wasn't doing.
Yep.
And they do a great job with the motivation, the inspiration. And I was sitting there fired up. And I'm like, why am I not doing more? Wow, okay. And it made me want to. And I think that's so powerful for us to surround yourself and to get
Yep.
into rooms where you're being pushed. Man, I appreciate you sharing that story. Sorry for that long diatribe,
No, no
but
worries.
you took me back to a moment in time. And I think so often, people they want to succeed, they want to grow as an investor, but then you give them the opportunity to commit to
Yep.
invest and they get scared because that
Yep.
price is too big,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And that's success. It's not even investing, that's life. When you find out my son wants to be an NFL player, which I'm keep pushing him against it, but I keep trying to explain to him, do you know what it costs? Not money, the sacrifice, the work, the practice. Like when you know what something costs, that's when those dreams start to dwindle just a little bit. So
Yeah.
it's important for us to understand that if you want it, you got to be willing to invest. I want to go back there, man. You had a lot of conviction to take a $20,000 loan, give it to the folks at Fortune Builders, go get
Yep.
another $6,000 on credit cards
Hmm.
and finish that payment. And now you essentially have nothing to actually invest. What gave you that conviction to make that investment and take the few chips that you had and put them all in?
Bro, it was so I was just ready, sick and tired of working the three jobs. And also at that time, you got to remember, one of the also the reasons too is at that time my parents was going through foreclosure.
Mm.
So the person that I signed up with in the back room, I told her like, okay, I paid for this education. Now I need someone to help my parents. So they put me in touch with the coaches. From that moment, that 3 days after that, that week after, I met up with the coaches here in Hawaii, and they walked me through step by step on how they could help my parents. Right? Showed Drove in the car with them, of other comparables that sold in that neighborhood, and what the ARV price point of what my parents could, after it would be fixed up, what it would sell for. But then they also showed me what they were going to offer my parents on how to get themselves out of that situation, because they were in a pretty tight situation. Both parents worked, but they just refinanced and created a bigger bill for themselves. So, long story short, they presented the opportunity of what they could offer my parents. My brother was in the back room. He was listening, and he ended up stepping up to the plate and recovering and helping my parents to bring the mortgage back to current. But after that meeting, I was sitting in the car with the coaches, and I told them, look, I will work for free. Whatever you guys need me to do, I will do, because what I want to do is learn what you guys do and become another successful real estate investor here in Hawaii. I knew I had the background of construction and all my best friend was a contractor. So that's what they needed. So I came indispensable to them, right? I was the person that they needed to run all their projects, to run all their marketing campaigns, which is on bandit signs that I posted, went to door knock, right? Like a lot of people think door knock is very scary, but dude, I was so ready and wanted to learn exactly how I could do what they do, so that my family would not go through that foreclosure process again, my personal family, and create the wealth. And eventually, what happened was, um, we created I created um, proof that it's possible coming from nothing, right? Coming out $0 in my pocket. And we did multiple projects, and I became, with the Fortune Builders, the guy here, Fuzzy the construction guy, or Fuzzy the builder. I became the guy to look to for help for real estate. And that's what I wanted to be. Now, all the Fortune Builder, like the coaches, the investors that were part of Fortune Builders, now were hitting me up to do work for them because I had the contractor's license. And we did all the work because I understood investing prices, the timelines, and all that stuff. So we made it work. And my best friend, who's the GC, we got consistent work all the time. And then we was able to do our own on the side, and created our, development company up there on the Big Island to build houses. And today, I'm doing over 60 plus projects, even more, because I'm also helping students that want to learn how to build a brand new house up there, on the Big Island, because it's a little bit more affordable than Honolulu, Maui, or Kauai.
Fuzzy, I love what you shared there, man. And it goes back to what you were saying about other people's money and other people's time. And in this case,
Mhm,
to an extent, you were the other people's time, right? And
mhm,
I like to think of it as there's a couple things you need for every deal, right? You need money, you need experience, but you also need the hustle. You need the time. Somebody's got to go in there and find it, right? And you got to figure out what you bring to the table. And starting out, you can probably only bring one of those things to the table, right? Eventually you'll get two or maybe even all three, but for you to bring into that relationship, to go all, chips all in, build that relationship, and then to get it, kind of, paid off as far as your family is concerned in the home, but also becoming the point person for those development deals. I just think it's key, man. And for our listeners, your situation may not be like that, but I think there's a lot of lessons that we can take away. what value can you bring to someone else? In your case, you knew the local market. You had a contractor's background. You understood construction and were licensed. So you could help in that regard. And these individuals had access to capital, had access to dollars and other investors and other students probably. So there was a nice pairing there. What do you bring to the table? That's the question you got to ask yourself. And
Yeah.
sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit for that.
Yeah.
My guess is you didn't walk around telling everybody, hey, I'm a licensed contractor. If you need any development needs, I'm your guy. Because we don't necessarily think about what we do bring to the table right away. Like in hindsight, we can always look back, but in the beginning, you're like, oh, I don't know much about real estate investing. I've never done it. We again, that brain in the back of our voice starts to tell you everything you can't do and what you haven't done versus
Yeah.
what you have been able to accomplish in your career. And I think that's why it's so important to start with your highlights
Yeah.
because, whether it be affirmations and things like that. And like I tell people with our affirmations, I know some people like to do the future affirmations. There's nothing wrong with that. I personally have a harder time with that. What I have had a lot more success and consistency with is affirmations that focus on the things I can control, like my energy level,
Yeah.
my focus and how I want to approach the day and how I help people. And that has allowed me to not to really lock in on the present and the things I can't control as opposed to I've got $1 billion in the bank account. Like that to me is a bit of a disconnect. But if I can focus on having great energy and I'm a problem solver and things like that, now I can be more resourceful and I'm looking at those challenges a different way. Absolutely love what you said there, man. And I hope that for our listeners, they can take some well lessons from your story. You're the author of the book Priced Out of Paradise. That's available, I'm assuming, on Amazon, or where can listeners find that?
Well, it's 99 cents right now on Kindle, so it's cheap, like free, basically. And
There you go.
the soft cover, I guess, is 19.99 on Amazon. It's a great book on how to build wealth investing in real estate the Pono way. And in Hawaii, Pono means righteous, doing it the right way. And in neighborhoods, right, you see this older couple or somebody get hurt, cannot pay for a mortgage. So there's two types of investors, or let me rephrase that. Money in the right person's hands will do things right. Like, things will be a brighter day. But money in the wrong hands, you know, it'll go down the wrong path. So the Pono way is like when you go into these situations to that that people are in distress. The first thing, as me myself, and I teach this, is to come in it with how you can help them first. Don't even think about the money, right? God's going to bless you if you help another person and you help them out of that situation. How good would you feel, right? In most cases, you find out their pain points. Hey, uncle, like got hurt. He cannot pay the mortgage. Now they gotta go. They cannot pay for a mortgage that big. Now they gotta go move and go rent. So when you come in with those intentions to help, we say, okay, well, how can I help this family member? Give them some upfront money to move and settle in another spot because they can't cover this. So move them in, help them out and upfront. You fix the house, you're either gonna rent it out or you're gonna flip it, and then on the back end, from the profits you make, shoot, give them some more if there's enough room to, you know, help them on their next journey or whatever it is. So that's what I talk about in the book, the Pono way, investing. People first before profits.
Yeah, check out more on Fuzzy. Go to fuzzyjardine.com. I appreciate you sharing that information. Right now, we're going to go to our round of insights. They say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you want to grow as a multifamily investor, you have to spend more time with other multifamily investors. And an easy way to do that is to join our apartment investing mastermind group today. Just go to casmoncapital.com and click on the mastermind button. Now, as a part of this group, you'll get access to expert trainings, group coaching calls, industry news and updates, as well as all of our webinars and workshops, including our 3-hour workshop on raising capital. Again, if you want to be around other multifamily investors that can help you scale your portfolio today and grow your network, make sure you're a part of the Apartment Investing Mastermind. Just go to casmoncapital.com and click on the mastermind button today. Fuzzy, give me a failure or an apparent failure that set you up for later success.
Well, I went around hanging around the wrong people, got myself into trouble, went to prison. That was a setback, right? A big setback. I went in when I was young, then came out when I was in my 30s. So I did like 7 years, but ended up, was one of the things that changed my life, right? It taught me, okay, either you're going to stay down that path or change your life and become someone that can help our community.
There you go. Give me a digital or mobile resource you recommend for our listeners.
TruePeopleSearch.com. It's a great way when you're driving around, and this is free, right? You go around driving to work, you see busted up house, look like got tall grass, broken cars, boarded up windows. Get the address, go to TruePeopleSearch.com. You can find out who the owners are, and they'll give you a phone number. Call them up, tell them what's going on with the situation. If they want to sell, you get the contract, give it to them, and then you can sell that contract to another investor, sometimes $1,000 to $20,000, depending on the situation.
Give me the book you've recommended or gifted the most in the last year.
Oh yeah, gotta be Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Great
classic.
Yeah.
Give me a daily habit that helps you stay focused on your goals.
Yep, prayer. You got to pray for and appreciate what you got, because other people are in different situation than you are, and appreciate your life where you're at today.
Give me your number one insight for investing and creating generational wealth.
Dial in your why. Dial in. Don't let nobody stop you from obtaining your why. Once you got that why dialed in, you're going to become successful.
All right. And you are out there in Hawaii. Give us your favorite place to grab a bite to eat.
Well, most people eat at Zippy's. Zippy's got good chili and fried chicken.
All right. Zippy's it is, man. Well, Fuzzy, you gave us a lot of great stuff, man. First of all, just love hearing your story, man. That underdog story, that comeback story that we always love, man. But you grew up third generation in your household, getting into the wrong things, coming out of prison, decided to turn your life around after hustling hard on multiple jobs, got into real estate after going through, the coaching and mentoring program, and really just became the go-to person for construction and deals in the area. And that allowed you to grow into, today you got 60 projects going that you're working on annually or so. So just being able to grow and scale and helping other people as well. Again, your book, Price Out of Paradise, that's available. Your website is fuzzyjardine.com. So we'll make sure to put a link to that in the show notes. I just want to thank you again for being a great guest and coming on Multifamily Insights. We look forward to staying in touch with you, and I hope you have a great day.
Mahalo and aloha.
Yeah. Hey, listeners, if you got some great value out of this, we invite you to join us with our mastermind, as well as make sure you check out our 7 questions you must ask before investing in apartments. Some free guides and resources to help you along your own investing journey. Until next time, take care.